Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside the Lost Valley, the Siege of Dien. This is a game designed by Jacques Ribier and published by White Dog Games. This is a game I've been real excited about for a while. It's a solitaire game, and when I first heard it was coming out, I was like, hey, I need to get a copy of this. And it is finally released, so got a copy of it, and I'm going to share a look inside with you. So let's take a look at the back of the box and see what this game's all about. We've got a couple different descriptions on the back, so I'll read them both because it's pretty short. It says here, The Lost Valley is a solitaire board game about the decisive 1954 battle between colonial France and the insurgent communist Viet Minh. You play the French garrison struggling to hold the base at Dien. It says the game is a solitaire dice and card-driven board game of tactics and resource management about the Battle of Dien, which saw the defeat of the French Expeditionary Corps in Indochina by the Vietnamese People's Army in 1954. This battle signaled the beginning of the end for the French colonial empire and the first steps towards independence for Vietnam. Game components, you get a 22 by 34 inch map, 45 event cards, 120 double-sided counters, 4 double-sided player aid cards, and a 16-page rulebook. And we can see an example of the map, the counters, and the cards over here. It lists out the game features: French Foreign Legion, French and Viet Minh artillery, French air support, event cards, Viet Minh logistics, French reinforcements, armored platoons, Viet Minh sappers, French camp morale, French raids, repairs and recovery, North African infantry, as well as some optional rules. So let's take a look inside and see what you get. All right, so we got our event cards, sheet and a half of counters, rule book. It's a tight box, so let's just dump it all out in one shot. Our player aids, rule index, and our setup card, as well as our map. So let's set up the map and take a closer look at the game. And here's a look at the map that comes with the game. It is a big, thick paper map. It's got fold lines that are not easy to iron out, so slap some plexi on it. It'll flatten them out for you quickly, and you won't have to worry about it. It is beautifully illustrated, lots of information on this map, so let's go over it so you can better understand it. The base at Dien is broken down into 3 subsectors. The northern subsector has Gabrielle and Anne-Marie. The counters of resistance are here in the center for the central subsector, and then Isabel is all on its own in the southern subsector. There are 4 axes of advance for the Viet Minh forces along the top, and then 3 different drop zones here in the middle of Dien. You have your turn record track, sit rep, DRM track, Viet Minh division strength track. You have your camp morale, resource points, AAA record tracks here. And then you have your remnants holding box and French eliminated units box here, as well as your follow-on units or reinforcements to the right. And one of the things I like to point out, I noticed right away, each of these CRs, these centers of resistance, has a lot of information in it, and it's mostly very easy to read. The one exception is the fortification level down here at the bottom right. You'll see this is a 4, this is a 1. It's very faint. When I look over here and I see this dark 4 and a 5-4 here and a 5-4 up here, it's much easier to read. I just wish that they had darkened out that area there. And inside that, it tells you that the fort level is 0 in this little box. You can barely read it because it's just in white text. And from across the map, you're going to know where to look, but the number itself is actually the most important. You're going to get to know it, obviously, as you play, but still, at a glance, I would like to have, I would have liked to see them make that a little bit darker. And we'll take a look at the player aids that come with the game. This is Player Aid A. This gives you the game overview and detailed sequence of play, which will list out your map, Viet Minh, event cards, resource management here, units, combats, and then your detailed sequence of play starts here at the bottom of page 1. You flip it over and it gives you the rest of the sequence of play for both sides. Player Aid B breaks down the center of resistance boxes, which we were talking about when we looked at the map, and then has turn 1 special conditions as well as some turn 2 special conditions when you start the game. Player Aid C and D break down the unit counters as well as the event cards and how to read those. Player Aid E provides the campaign game initial setup. Player Aid F gives you the Battle of the Five Hills scenario setup. Player Aid G gives you several tables for the game as well as the abbreviated sequence of play. And on the back are the rest of the tables that you'll use. Then we have the French unit designations. This is a double-sided sheet. And lastly, we have the rules index, which will list out all different rules, and then the associated case so you can look it up in the rule book. We'll take a look at the counter sheets that come with the game. These are nice, thick, standard Blue Panther counters. You got French units and some admin counters here. The remainder of the French forces here. No man's land damage, active admin counters, fortification markers, Viet Minh control markers, and Viet Minh force markers, as well as some disrupted admin counters at the bottom. We'll take a look at a couple of the event cards that come with the game. You have your action points here, whether the card's in reserve, conditions, as well as the event. Flag marker down here for the French, one for the Viet Minh. You also have a reshuffle card, and then here, this means this is a one-time use card. And one note here about these cards, these are basically just cardstock cards. So I don't know if you can hear the difference, but listen to the shuffling. As I go through these cards, they're not coded. And it's getting increasingly more difficult to move through them as you go down the deck. And being that you have to reshuffle these cards, they're going to need to be sleeved if you're going to be using these cards in the game. It's kind of a curious production choice for White Dog. I know in the past, other games have had regular cards, so I'm curious as to why they went with this cardstock cards rather than going with coded cards. And we'll take a look at the rulebook that comes with the game. It is a 16-page rulebook. Starts off on page 1 with the introduction, a listing of some acronyms and their definitions, as well as the game components on the bottom right-hand side. That continues on to the next sheet, as well as explaining the counters, the tracks for the next couple of pages, how all of those are read and used in the game. And then we get to the game setup and abbreviated sequence of play here on page 6. And then the French event card phase, the event card discard phase. All of the French steps are in blue. The Viet Minh steps are in orange. I'm not going to read through all of them, and I'll explain why in a moment, but you can see the important notes are for the Viet Minh are in orange. Important notes for the French are in blue. So again, all color-coded. Now we get back to the French phase. We have the reinforcements arrival, movement phase, assault phase, and then there are call-out boxes here that will tell you which player aids to use for each of the different phases, which is great because there's several different player aids, so it's easy to have it in the rules where it tells you, use this player aid, use that player aid for each of the different phases. Then we get to the French raids, repair and recovery phase, victory condition check phase, game turn, record phase, and then optional rules. And then we are at the back of the rule book where we get an example of play here. The note I was talking about, I'm going to open it back up here and point out to you something which you probably already noticed. I haven't made a comment on it yet, but now I'm going to, now that we've gone through the rules. The text in this is exceedingly small, and it's very frustrating to see this out of the box. There's been a couple of other, issues that I've seen with this game already, and we've talked about them, but the rule book is just, it's inexcusable to have a rule book like this for a $61 game, to be perfectly honest with you. And I was excited about this game. Now looking at when I opened it up, looked at the rule book here with you, my excitement has waned considerably because this looks like it's going to be very frustrating to get through. Hopefully there is a PDF download that corrects the font issue on White Dog's website, but that should not have to be the case. It's one thing to do living rules, and as you put in errata and you correct things, it's another altogether for me to have to print out on my own paper, with my own ink, and I'm going to guess it's probably going to double the page count to like 30 some odd pages because it's 16 with this smaller font. For me to have to pay or to print 30 some odd pages of a rule book that I already paid for with the game, it should come out of the box ready to use. This does not, this right now should not be in this box, and White Dog needs to fix that. And that's why I do these unboxings, so that way I can see things like this. I can share that with you, and not to turn this into a review, but bear that in mind if you've been as excited about this game as I am, because out of the box, this is an epic fail, in my opinion, on White Dog's part. Hopefully they will correct that on other productions going forward. And that is a look at everything you get inside of The Lost Valley, The Siege of Dien Bien Phu, a game designed by Jacques Rebier and published by White Dog Games. Based on the amount of content you get with this game, this looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting game to play. And being at solitaire, it's great. You don't have to worry about getting an opponent like you do with Dien Bien Phu, The Final Gamble. That one you can play at solitaire, but it's better with an opponent. But the biggest thing there is it's a time sink. This one looks like it's going to be an involved game and take some time. but nowhere near the time of the varsity version, which is Dien, the Final Gamble. This is more like the JV version. So if you want to experience the Siege and play it in a solitaire format, this is definitely the game for you. You know, I do these unboxings for, I call them previews, not unboxings. And there's a reason behind it. I'm not just opening up the box and showing you the components saying, yeah, there's your game, have a nice day. I'm kind of talking about the game a little bit to try to make you better informed, talk about the game, the designer, the components, the publisher, whatever. So that way you are a little more informed and you can see things a little more clearly before you invest your money. Those cards are disappointing in the box. They should definitely be playing cards. Those feel more like I said, like cardstock. I could be wrong. I don't think so. Those definitely feel like cardstock. They have a slight coating on them, but not like you have with standard playing cards. So they're going to be difficult to shuffle. Cards will definitely need sleeves to be usable. The thing that I find really disappointing and very frustrating is that rule book. That rule book should not be in the box. That rule book needs to be replaced. White Dog, don't think about it, just do it. You may have a copy on your website. I'm going to go check it out after this. If you have a soft copy on your website, hopefully the soft copy you have does not follow that same format, that same really tiny 5-point font format or whatever it is. And I sound a little annoyed, and I am. I spent $61 for this game, and I expect a usable rulebook out of the box. That rulebook is trash. I can't use it on the table. It's going to be difficult to read as it is. I'm definitely not going to have it on the table with me to glance at. I'm going to still use it as best I can, possibly, but hopefully they got a soft copy that I could use on an iPad, and I should not have to do that. I paid money for all of the paper product in the game, and I should have gotten usable rulebook. So before you buy this game, check and see if that's been addressed by White Dog. Hopefully it will be, because it needs to be. And if it wasn't for that, I would have a very excited opinion about this game. Normally I am pretty upbeat about my games. Right now, this one I'm not as upbeat about because of that. Hopefully they'll get it corrected, and hopefully, I can get a soft copy off their website, but I shouldn't have to, is my point. The rulebook should be usable out of the box, and hopefully they'll address that. Enough pontificating on that. I just wanted to be fair and make sure you guys are aware of that before purchasing the game. Well, I hope that helps you guys out if you've been curious about this one. If you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.